Welcome to the second part of This Was 2022, a year in review, which is a special edition of the Beginner's Mind podcast as we close out the year and look ahead to 2023. What's your advice? I mean, startups now, I think, also needs to raise funds. What's your advice to startups? How, in your opinion, how should they tackle this situation currently?
Yeah. So my advice is go into your business models, go into your business plans, and try to be a little more conservative. So stay innovative, but try to be a little more conservative when it comes to numbers, and try to be profitable pretty fast. So try to rethink. If you manage to close an investment, use the money very wise, and don't burn the money, because it will be more difficult to close any investment. So it's the same for us. So we also have.
I'm your host, Christian Soschner, and I'm excited to be joined by Caroline Heil. She's the CEO of the New Meat Company, or short TNMC. Caroline is an experienced investor with a focus on revolutionizing the food industry in a sustainable and healthy way. She has worked as a lawyer for EY, advising clients on M&A and VC investments in the alternative protein and meat market. The New Meat Company is a purpose-driven investment company based in Berlin that invests in game-changing companies and founders, disrupting the traditional meat industry with sustainable, nutritious, and tasty alternatives. The New Meat Company has a buy and build strategy, consolidating established pioneers and emerging game changers in the alternative meat space, and partnering with innovative individuals who prioritize animal welfare and reducing the ecological footprint of meat production. In this episode, Caroline will share her insights on the key trends in the food industry, the importance of proper nutrition for long-term health, and her advice for startups and scale-ups seeking investments. She will also give us a preview of what to expect in 2023 and what the ideal investment opportunity looks like for the New Meat Company. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn from one of the top investors in the food industry as we close out the year and look ahead to the future. In the list of attendees, and let's promote her to panelist. Did you meet Caroline already?
No, I don't think so.
Then we can make, hi Caroline, good to see you.
Hi. Hi, Caroline.
Hello. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you, Kurt.
Nice to meet you, Caroline. Hi.
Let's make a quick introduction. Caroline Heil, she runs the New Meat Company, an investment fund. But maybe, Caroline, you can say a few words to yourself.
Yeah, sure, Caroline. I'm the CEO of the so-called The New Meat Company. We are actually not a real fund. We are a listed company, a platform company in the space of alternative proteins. So our goal is to change the way people eat, to make it more sustainable, and to build up the biggest group for alternative proteins in Europe and maybe someday in the world as well. So maybe some more about our platform approach. So what we do is we bring together a broad portfolio of companies with a complementing skill set and mindset together under the roof of the New Meat Company to leverage synergies and to grow together, to be sustainable, to be profitable, and to change the world and make it a little better.
That sounds great. And Kurz runs the AT Health investment arm. Did I do remember it right, Kurz?
Yes. So let's say service provider, but yes, we are talking about investments. So there's a lot of things in common. And of course, nutrition is a big part in healthcare and healthy living, I would say. So therefore, there is definitely a great overlap.
It's definitely. So what I always say is the way to change how you eat is the easiest way to get healthier. And if people would do that, there's data that we could save up to 90% of the cost of our healthcare system in Europe and in North America. So food has a great impact. So maybe you want to invest in a new meat company as well.
We definitely could talk about that. As I said, not investing directly, but helping to find the right investors. Definitely in our scope.
You think 90% is the potential of reducing the cost in the healthcare system when we change the nutrition habits? So did I get it right?
Yes, that's the data I found somewhere. So basically, because there are so many diseases, like the main diseases we see, or main reasons why people are dying, like diabetes type 2, like all the cardiovascular diseases. They are pretty much linked to the way how we eat, to cholesterol, to sugar, to meat also. So yeah,
maybe there's also like some correlation, because people who think about their nutrition might also think about their habits to do sports and to move. So that's of course like if you do proper and careful prevention by focusing on your nutrition and focusing on how you move, that definitely has a huge impact. Which part of that is part of the moving in sports and which part is the nutrition? That's of course then a different story. And a few genes definitely also have some impact. But I definitely will subscribe that nutrition has a large and significantly underestimated impact on life expectancy and also life quality.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think nutrition is one of the most important things to stay healthy. And but it's pretty challenging in nowadays. I mean, there's so much good food on the market that is a little bit it tastes good, it feels good, it is a lot of fun to eat, but has a negative health impact, and being aware of that makes sense.
And also, like, the medicamentation nowadays is so good, so it's way easier, like, to eat whatever you want and just take this one pill and keep your cholesterol levels down. It's super easy, but it's somehow it's a bad habit to try to.
And I don't think that it's really that easy. They promise and pretend that it's that easy, but I think there is still some side effects that are not.
I was just kidding. So some weeks ago I gave a speak at a conference, and I was talking about like negative impacts of meat consumption, like if you consume too much. So not if you have like your steak once a week, but if you have like your like the average German who's consuming 1.4 kilos of meat a week. Like if you eat too much meat, and the correlation with like several diseases. And after this speech, an older guy in his 80s reached out to me and came over and said, "Yeah, I'm a former professor for cardiovascular disease at Charité. And actually, you're not very smart, because medication is so good nowadays. So cholesterol is not a problem anymore. Like you can just take your pill, and like health is not a topic when we talk about meat." I was like, okay, that is a different mindset. So, but it's actually in our heads, because it's so convenient. It's so easy. And changing your habits, changing your eating habits, changing your habits, how you move, how you do sports, it's more challenging, but it's more sustainable, I think.
Did you ever, or did you do some research in the optimal nutrition habits with the new meat company?
Not with the new meat company, actually, but I did so much reading on it. So there's amazing literature you can find on it. So my favorite books are by Mr. Campbell, so professor from the US, like the China Study or Whole. So there's so much very nice stuff you can find. Or one book, I can't remember the name of the author. I just read recently, the Vegan Diet. So a combination between paleo and vegan diets by a very famous
how does that
sports guy.
How does that work? Uniting paleo and vegan. So it's basically meat with vegetables.
I know paleo it's not keto. It's paleo is it's this diet where you try to basically eat like the people some 100 years ago, some 1,000 years ago. So you try to keep everything very clean, no processed foods. So if you have like meat, you only eat grass-fed meat. Lots of vegetables, lots of fruits. But with if you combine vegan and paleo diet, it's like no meat.
Okay, so it's basically meat without meat, so no meat at all.
No meat. It's no meat at all. But we didn't do research or didn't run our own research with the new meat company so far. That's definitely on the list for the next years. But there's already so much you can find everywhere on this topic. So.
Good. Sorry that I forgot to say goodbye to you. So it's great that you stay a little bit longer. It was really great speaking to you.
Thank you.
I dived directly into the next session without closing.
No, it's nice to have that smooth handover. And maybe one final word, Caroline, talking about investments. A very good friend of mine is managing director and head of equity markets in DACH, Thomas Thuner from Morgan Stanley. He said is IPO. So he's of course taking care of companies preparing their IPO. He said IPO doesn't mean is the party over, and then he said. No, actually not. Just the dress code has changed. And I agree, the dress code has changed, but I actually like the old dress code more. So hopefully we will come back to the old dress codes one day. Thank you. It was great to meet you. And looking forward to talking to you, Caroline, at some point of time to follow up. And Christian, thanks for the invitation and see you soon.
Good. I wish you Merry Christmas and a good start into 2023.
Yes. Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Caroline, very good start. We started right away with Kurt in the next session. Great to see you. How was your 2022?
I would say pretty good. It's very exciting 2022 on a professional level, on a personal level. So far, I had a very good year. With the new meat company, we made some major steps, actually. We closed 3 transactions this year. And 3 transactions where we acquired majority stakes in companies. So, as I told you last time, our investment approach is very different from how a VC investor invests. It goes more into the direction of private equity. So we acquire majority stakes in companies, which is more challenging, I think. So, so for the new meat company, it was a pretty good year, I would say.
How is it going with taking the majority in a company? Is there a big market out there for companies that are willing to? I mean, it's basically what Warren Buffett is doing with Berkshire Hathaway. So it's buying companies as a whole.
Kind of as a whole, taking over. Okay, taking over doesn't sound so friendly, but incorporating the companies into the group. Actually 1.5 years ago when I started my position as CEO, I actually had huge doubts if companies and if companies in the food space, startups or grown-up companies, if they really want to give up so many shares and such a big stake in the companies. But it's going very, very well. And the people are super open to become part of the platform because they just see the need to work together and to grow together, especially in these challenging times. So with the changing market environment, inflation and everything, we even see the companies being more open to become part of the platform. And there are still people out there who don't want to give up so many shares, who don't want to be part of the platform. But there are so many we talk to who think the idea is great and who want to be part of our idea. And these are also the people we look for. So we look for this mindset of people, for this kind of people who are open, who really want to change the world, who want to grow fast, who want to grow together. Who want to learn from other companies, and so it's. I'm very happy that my doubts were not very reasonable.
I'm curious, since you work in the food industry, which big trends did you see in 2022?
In 2022, that's a very difficult question. In the alternative protein space, we still see that there is a big focus on startups and companies who work in the whole mushroom space, so mycelium protein, fermentation. That's 2 topics that we're still able to close bigger investment rounds. So there's still something going on, but kind of what the trend at the moment in the industry is. that's my belief, everyone gets more conservative again. So everyone is more looking for companies that are profitable, that can survive this new challenging market surrounding without investing all the time, or without burning money all the time. So it kind of like the trend is that people are looking for more sustainable companies, in a meaning of being like very good for our environment, very good for our health, planetary health diet, but also being able to survive, being profitable. And what we saw like 2 years ago, that we had like a huge emerging biotechnology scene in the food space. So basically companies working on cell-based meat, on cell-based milk, lab-grown proteins, fermentation, that these companies are struggling more because like the money they were able to close or to get for the biotech companies that won't be profitable or won't make any profits for the like next 5 or 10 years, they now really see the challenge to close investments to keep their idea going. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to say what is the new trend, but the market environment definitely changed a lot. And I really hope that it's going a little bit more back to the old before this year's crisis environment, because we really need the biotech scene. We need the startups that develop new products. And now we see like the industry taking over a lot, the private label companies, the conventional industry, like players like Nestle in Germany, like Rügenwalder Mühle, Unilever, who have their food brands they establish more and more in the alternative protein space.
I talked just half an hour ago with Kurt about the uptake and downturn in the investment world, generally in health tech. And 2021 was a great year. And he said in 2022, in his experience, there was a huge cutback here in Europe. Did you experience the same? Or is in the food industry still enough capital that's going to be deployed?
No, it's definitely the same. So there are some companies that manage to still find investors, or some startups who still manage to close big investment rounds, like the Zurich-based startup Planted. They just closed a $70 million round. So they were pretty successful, and that was like 3 months ago. Then like a new Berlin-based startup, it's called Project Eden. It's also vegan meat alternatives. They closed 10 million like half a year ago. So there are some companies that are still able to find investors, to find money, but a majority part of the startups in the field are really struggling, and they don't find investors. The valuations are down a lot, so it's challenging, but like really good ideas and really innovative projects still find the money and still find investors. And also what we see is that what I said earlier, if we don't only look at the startups, but at the industry, so like the old industry, they are still in a very, very good shape, in a very good condition. They invest a lot into their own projects, so into establishing their brands, into rolling out new projects, new products. So startups are struggling, old industry is actually growing, and I think in a very good, or most of the industry, like if you look at the organic scene, like the organic supermarket retailer chains, they are struggling a lot too. But majority of a part of the old industry is in a pretty good condition at the moment. So,
which parts of the industry do you see thriving the most currently in the old industry?
Driving what? Or
which parts of the old industry is thriving the most currently? Do you see more in automotive, or do you see more in agriculture, energy? Which sectors do you see the most traction in this market environment?
I think there's again a very difficult question, but I think actually the food industry overall is still doing pretty fine. Lots of traction, lots of happening. They are still sticking to their goals when it comes to sustainability, ESG. So that's a pretty positive news, that sustainability in these times of crisis with high energy prices, etc., is not something that people forget about. It's still very high on the agenda. And I think there's like many family owned businesses in Europe that are doing pretty well in mechanic engineering, and also in the building industry. So maybe not the project developers, but I think there's old industry that really kind of has a conservative cash management and conservative investment approach. I think they're still doing pretty fine in these challenging times. So,
what's your advice? I mean, startups now, I think, also needs to raise funds. What's your advice to startups? How, in your opinion, how should they tackle this situation currently?
Yeah. So my advice is like, go into your business models, go into your business plans, and try to be a little more conservative. So stay innovative, but try to be a little more conservative when it comes to numbers, and try to be profitable pretty fast. So try to rethink. If you manage to close an investment, use the money very wise, and don't burn the money, because it will be more difficult to close any investment. So it's the same for us. So we also have to rethink twice before we invest. And so it's challenging times, but I think it's every crisis for me has a good side. So for me, I think it's very healthy if the startups and if the industry becomes more entrepreneurial driven and more sustainable. And it was also funny, like 1.5 years ago when I started as the CEO for the new meat company, one of my goals was to find companies and to find startups that think differently, so that are bootstrapped, that want to be profitable. Because I say, if you really want to be sustainable, you have to be profitable at some point, and you have to, at least in the food industry, if you want to survive, it's definitely it's not, for me, it's not the right environment for non-profitable startups. And when I started 1.5 years ago, I said that I only want to have companies in the portfolio that have the potential to be sustainable, to be profitable. And for me, it's a good thing of the crisis that this thinking is getting more accepted. So when I was telling the people earlier, they were like laughing at me. You don't understand the market, the food industry, what's happening in alternative protein space, what the VCs are doing. And now when you talk to the VCs, they also have this different mindset and challenge the companies much more, think more conservative. So, and I think that is a good thing, actually.
What is in 2022? What was your biggest success? Or let me phrase the question maybe out of a little bit differently. What is your ideal company that you are looking for on the market?
In the future or in the past?
In the past, in 2022, and in the future. Then this is the next step.
So I think my the biggest success of our company was to basically the combination of the 3 deals we managed to close this year. So our first deal this year was that we got the seitan company L'Herbivore on board. So they produce seitan or seitan meat alternatives. And that was kind of like the first step of our strategy. So we managed to get them on board, and we knew that they are very, very that they have a very strong skill set in the production side. So building up a production unit. We have one of the managing directors and founders of L'Herbivore. Jürgen is an engineer who kind of like got socialized in the automotive industry, so he really knows how processes work. He worked in the automotive industry for 10 years. So he's very process driven. He's a mechanical engineer. He really knows what he's doing. And he did already develop a small production unit in Berlin. And he managed to build up a very, very thoughtful and very good production unit in the countryside, in the production area we acquired with our second transaction this year. It's a former meat factory for game meat, and the former owner had the idea to to move away from any animal production and to transform the meat factory into a vegan production unit. And we took over this production site in the countryside of Berlin, already having in mind that L'Herbivore will build up the production unit, will build up something very professional. And then our third transaction we just closed recently is with the Berlin-based company Eat Plants. And they produce convenient food and sauces in glass jars. So, and they are like super strong in the e-commerce business. So they have a very good online shop. They have very strong knowledge in this field. They have like a QR code on every product, and you can scan it, and then you get to the app. You get recipes that are generated based on the temperature and weather data around you. You get all the information where the products are from. And Eat Plants is also very, very strong on the product development department. They have 2 professional chefs working for the company. They also just moved to Dobbertin. They're building up a test kitchen there, a content studio. So, and now to see like these 3 companies working together, that's kind of like the biggest success for me. So like when I see the founders, how they work together, how they grow together, how they already manage to incorporate the products of L'Herbivore into the online shop of Eat Plants. They already kicked off their joint product development. So for Veganuary, they will launch 3 pretty cool seitan products in glass jars. So a vegan currywurst and things like that. So it's pretty amazing to see that our platform idea really is working. So and the synergies are real, and we're not only talking about, but we can really see it, that if you bring together the right people, it's amazing. So, and it's so much fun to see how they work together and also be part of this team.
So you keep the management in place basically after acquiring the company. So you rely on the expertise of the founders team.
Yes, and they are the most important part of the whole idea. So we really need the right people. We need the people with the right mindset, and and that's also it's a good criteria that we acquiring a majority stake in the company, because like the people who are willing to give up so much, as I said earlier, so much of their company because they believe in the big picture and the bigger idea, that are normally the people who are really open and that are really willing to help each other and to grow with the other companies. So,
where do you see the food industry heading to in 2023 and onwards? What are the big trends that lead us into the future? In
2023. So when we look at the numbers and at the sales, there are still 2 big trends we see. And one is luckily for us, it's still vegan products and meat alternatives. So alternative proteins is still one of the biggest trends in the food industry. And the second really big trend at the moment is alcohol-free alcohol. So
really alcohol-free alcohol.
Yeah. So wine, champagne not, because it's difficult with the rights, but wine without alcohol, gin without alcohol. So that's a big trend, because people in general want to be healthier. And that's also why they reduce their meat consumption, the consumption of animal products, alcohol. I think it's pretty clear for everyone now that it's not very healthy to drink too much. So, and it's still like when you go out partying or whatever, there's still so much pressure if you don't drink. So it's a very nice alternative if you have like your wine bottle and you can drink, but there's no alcohol in it. So that's kind of like the 2 big trends we still we saw the last months and we will see in 2023.
Alcohol-free gin. Yeah, this is the amazing thing. Whenever I have a phase in my life where I say I want to do more sports and don't drink alcohol, and when I go to events, usually I ask for water, and people look at me and say, "What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
why do you drink water?" And then I just say, "Yeah, I do sports, and it's not good." And the second thing then they ask is, "Do you have problems with alcohol?" So it's quite an amazing pressure in society. Do you see it's the same in Germany, that it's generally let's say, accepted to drink alcohol at an event, and people question the decision when someone says, "Oh, no, I don't drink."
Yeah, definitely. So it's huge pressure, but it's I think it's already starting to change a little bit. So as many people want to be healthier, as many people, just try to reduce the alcohol consumption. It's getting more accepted, but I think it's great to be able to to have something other than water when you go out. When you go out in the evening, when you meet people, when you're in a restaurant. So but it's and if you some years ago when you were out with friends for dinner and you told the people that you don't eat meat, that was kind of like the same thing. They were like, "What is wrong with you? Why don't you eat meat?" And now it's so much more accepted. So at least in the cities. So when you're in Berlin or
it's the worst nightmare probably was no meat, no alcohol, and only vegetables on the table. And it was literally, I think it made the evening of many people and was definitely the center of discussion at the table.
Yeah, but now that is, luckily changing.
Caroline, let's pull in the next speaker. Albert is already in. He's a business angel from Austria. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and follow the podcast channel. Your support helps the podcast grow and allows me to reach more people who can benefit from the content. And if you have a moment, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and Spotify. It really helps me out. Thank you again and have a happy new year.